Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Going to do a recent finds video. I usually say stuff that's come in since the last recent finds, but since I'm doing it different now, this stack right here is where I keep all of my recently acquired records. And so what I'm doing now is just reaching in and grabbing 5 random records out of that stack, sharing them, and maybe kind of keeping the videos a little bit shorter, that type of thing. And that's kind of how I'm doing it. But first, I do want to add one thing to this video, which is a VCLT thanks to the one and only Aaron Alamer. If that name does not ring a bell, you need to get your butt over to that link right down below. Subscribe, jump on board his channel, because Aaron is just another one of the coolest, most knowledgeable guys in the vinyl community, without question. Matter of fact, the two things always come to mind with me when I think about Aaron is, number one, arguably one of the most genuine guys I've ever met in my entire life. There's no fluff to Aaron. There's no BS to Aaron. There's no him doing something trying to keep up with the Joneses or any of like that type of mentality thing. He just like truly is genuine. Like that's the best word I could use for it. And after getting to know him over the past year plus, and hanging out with him and get a chance to actually, go to his home and meeting him and all this type of stuff, I mean, there's just no better word to describe him than genuine. I mean, it really is. And which actually kind of leads to the second thing that I typically think about with Aaron is that, I mean, he listens to all kind of music, so he has a bit of everything. But the one thing that I feel is really impressive about him is, if you are someone who loves rock, hard rock, metal, glam metal, kind of all of that stuff in there, Aaron's channel is one that you have to be on, because his knowledge of that stuff is just beyond crazy. I mean, there's all the bands that we know. Let's just call them the A bands, not because they're the best, but it's like the bands that we all know. And then there's always like, oh yeah, there's these B bands that just weren't as popular and didn't have all the videos. People don't know them as well, and we talk a lot about those B bands and share those. Aaron is the guy that goes so deep. Like, he's like, here's a D- band that, that maybe you haven't heard of or whatever else. And it's just, his knowledge is so vast. It's weird, the number of albums that he can pull out and share with you, and you're like, I've dug through millions of albums in my lifetime. I have never seen that and never even heard of that band. But Aaron is like, yeah, me and my buddies, back when I was 15, we used to rock out to this, and that summer of blah, 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 oh, we played this to death. This is my favorite album. And you're like, what is it? Like, who's ever seen that before? But it's just, again, he has had that love and that passion, and he didn't just try to follow the stuff that was cool. He heard stuff that he liked, and he rocked it, and it took him so deep into all that stuff. His knowledge is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So if any of that is of interest to you at all, get over there and check out Aaron's channel. But the VCLT that he sent over was this right here, which is the best of the cars. He had stumbled across this and was like, hey, I found this, does anybody need it? And I was like, yeah, I'd been meaning to get a copy of this for quite some time, and just never got around to picking it up, and he sent it right over. So really appreciate it, man. Best of the Cars 2 LP set. I love collecting the Walmart exclusives, so awesome addition to the collection, and Aaron, cannot thank you enough, man. So like I said, guys, get over there and check out his channel. All right, so let's dive in here. Let's pick out 5 of the recent finds. The first one here, first one's a doozy. Fuel, Something Like Human. If you guys have been kind of watching my channel, and also checking out JC over at the Flip Side, and a number of other people that done responses to this, but JC put up a thread about 3 weeks ago or so, Lost Classics of the 90s, which were just albums that maybe just didn't have the staying power in terms of being the forefront, like your Nirvanas and Pearl Jams and stuff like that, where 17, 18-year-olds are still buying Nirvana and Pearl Jam today, but some of the bands that maybe they kind of missed from the 90s because they weren't kids at the time. And one of the ones I pulled out was Fuel. And in talking about it, I was like, I wish they pressed this on vinyl. I was like, I'm going to check. And as soon as I finished making that video, I checked. And sure enough, it had been pressed on vinyl. So I immediately had to get myself a copy. So, JC, not only was your thread cool, but if it wasn't for your thread, I wouldn't have known that this had been released, which is an album I have wanted on vinyl for I don't know how long. But this came out in 2000, and Fuel was just one of those fantastic bands from the time. You know, the two biggest hits on here were Bad Day was definitely a big one. Yeah, Hemorrhage, I think, is probably the second biggest track on this album. But yeah, I mean, just awesome album. So glad to see that it had been pressed on vinyl. And again, I have to thank JC for putting up that thread, or I never would have discovered it. Next here we have the Pussycat Dolls, PCD. Sorry, trying to get the glare out of there. And this came out in 2005, and you know, early 2000s, we're still kind of playing off the whole, you know, 90s boy band, girl band, you know, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls and blah, blah, blah. And this is just kind of, you know, playing right into that, into the early 2000s. But, you know, my rule for stuff that comes in my collection is always, if there are melodies that I want to hear again, or if there's an emotion that I want to feel again, if the album is giving me one of those two things, or both of those things, I want it in my collection. And that's kind of where this falls. I mean, yeah, kind of cheesy and that type of thing, but I always love the song Stick With You. I've always thought that was a very, very cool ballad. Love the lyrics in that. And it's kind of a cool album, too. I think Don't You was another big hit off here, which probably, that's one I don't like as much, but... and on the second side, too, it is kind of cool because they did have at least the courage to cover a few songs that you wouldn't maybe think that they would. Like, you would look at a group like this, especially hearing their hits, and just think everything is going to be kind of a popish thing with a little bit of R&B flavor. You know, how that formula was kind of going. But there's some things on here on the second side that were very show tune-ish. They did a cover of Feeling Good, you know, Simone and Traffic and all that, you know, Feeling Good. Tainted Love, Where Did Our Love Go? They did a cover of that Soft Cell. So, I mean, they did kind of stretch themselves a little bit and do some things on here that I just normally wouldn't think they would. And, you know, I thought it was kind of cool. But, yeah, good addition to the collection there. What do we have next here? Little Joni Mitchell. This is her release from 1970. Again, fairly common album for those that are into folk music and stuff like that, so I won't spend much time on it. Coolest thing about this is just kind of finding one in absolute perfect condition like that, so that was nice. But it's just, you know, Joni doing what Joni does well. Let's see, next here, let's go with, another Walmart exclusive that I came across, which was Metallica, 72 Seasons. You know, I've talked about this album and all that good stuff, but, you know, I wanted a Walmart exclusive as well. Like I said, I like collecting those. I have all the other Metallica albums that came out with the Walmart exclusive, so wanted to make sure that stayed with the set, so to speak. And what's that, 4? So we'll go one more, and what do we have here? Oh, Time for Tyner, McCoy Tyner. You know, just one of the absolute jazz legends here. And the cool thing about this, you know, one of the Tone Poet releases, and this is one of his few albums that I hadn't heard before. So, and I still really haven't listened to it all the way through. So this is going right into my in rotation to listen to pile. But you know, I've never really listened to anything by him that I didn't like. So it's going to be kind of cool discovering a new album by the one and only. This came out with 1969, I believe. So there you go, guys. That's a recent finds. And again, Aaron, thanks for the VCLT, man. And as always, guys, let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, VC.